She's rewriting history.
It's history, revisionist.
So ping pong actually does inform your on-camera personas, just not in the way I thought.
We used to be friends before you asked that question.
Yeah. Remember that time I was at Comic-Con and I broke up the casting thing? It's great. I'm like Yoko. I was unsure what I would ask you guys today, and I went to my blog because I thought it would be helpful to sort of crowdsource this. And a lot of people wanted to know from Chuck and Bill, who were some of your dream guests for guest stars? Wow. Like, I mean, you know, sky's the limit.
Very, very low down on the list was Will Wheaton.
Do you think you'll ever actually get him?
Remember that time you explained to me who he was?
People know this guy, I'm telling you.
I understand he's kind of a big deal.
Well, you know, I mean, we've been so fortunate, people that we've been able to meet. Stanley, who Chuck worked with when Chuck began writing at Marvel Productions and worked on, what shows did you work on there?
Oh, just move on.
Move on. Chuck is also the co-writer of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song. We worked for Stanley there, and so we had Stan on. Katie Sackhoff was
the immortal Professor Smoot, the Nobel Prize winner. I'm sure that's got a lot to tune in.
Summer Glow. I mean, the only thing geekier than the characters of The Big Bang Theory are the writers of Big Bang Theory.
Here, here.
That wasn't necessary.
I'm sorry. I appreciate it. It's giving me work.
Who's coming?
Oh, who's here?
I think we're okay with it, right?
If are people booked?
I think it's okay.
Oh, tell us.
Oh,
Yeah,
we don't
know either.
We want to know.
Yeah, please, please.
I think we've got Steve Wozniak.
Steve Wozniak. And we are talking to some other cool people who I guess we can't say until they're booked. But the thing is that we never say who would be a stunt cast that, for the sake of stunt casting. We think there are people we think are cool and that we're fans of, and so that's who we go for.
You talked about some of the big nerds, right? Like getting the physics professor and some people like that. And I had a really interesting conversation with Steve Millaro about the wonderful creative tension in the writer's room between nerds and the normals. And I observed between the nerds and the normals.
Oh,
and
there's no comedy room with normals.
Well, relative to nerds, I guess. And I observed when I was on the set that there's this great, it's almost like playing comedy operation, where you pluck a joke out of the the little board there without making the guy's nose light up and kill everything. And it makes the show really accessible to people like me and people like my wife who are just nerd adjacent. And
by definition, she's always nerd adjacent.
She is always nerd adjacent. That's right. And I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about that creative tension. And a guy on my blog really wanted to know how challenging it was to sell the idea of this show that is about geeks doing geeky things to a network that may have been a little bit nervous about thinking, gosh, is that audience going to actually be there for this show?
Well, first of all,
let's introduce Steve.
Yeah,
where's Steve? And Lee Aronson, too. Let's a couple of great writers.
Stand up.
Stand up. Stand up. Great writers.
The other executive producer of the show, and Steve Millaro, whose willingness to share the details from his very, very sad geeky childhood on a regular basis, part of what you watch every week. There was never a discussion that I recall, I'll turn to you, Chuck, but about the show being too geeky or anything like that. CBS.
No, CBS was, they got it right away. They've been very supportive. And I'm not known for being really appreciative of CBS and network executives, but they've been terrific.
Some of my favorite jokes on the show are like Homo habilis discovering his opposable thumb says what, and spherical chicken in a vacuum, And like, are these things that you ever worry? Like, do you have to go and explain to people like this is
Clearly
why that's
not.
funny?
No, the audience.
Well, listen, I hope the network executives won't listen, but the average nerd is a little bit more tuned into these things than executives are.
We presume an intelligent audience, so it's not, you don't just start out from that and then let the chips fall.
I also asked on